Is that a Bible verse? All people who wander, all who
All,
wander aren't lost.
all those who wander are lost. Yeah, I think that might be. I never bothered to look it up because I wasn't that interested in the episode. Hello, folks. Welcome to Boatrek Live. We're going to talk about season one, episode 9, the penultimate, because people like to say penultimate episode of season one. All those who wander, and this is the much anticipated second Gorn episode that was teased in the early promotional material. Uh, so let's get started. Thank you for joining me, Braxton. This episode really bothered me, and I think it's the worst of this. I'll just get it right out now. We'll get into why, but I think it's the worst of the season. In a nutshell, it seemed like it tried too hard to pay homage. I would say kind of rip off in the lightest sense. Predator and Aliens and that whole kind of vibe. I appreciate the animatronic technical work that went into it, the puppetry and whatnot. But I didn't care about the story. We have a good character, who goes away. Actually, two. One who lives and one who dies. But Laan apparently decides to go off and pursue the Gorn away from the Federation. Pike offers her like a place back. Uhura, it seems like she's gonna go because she's finished her cadet training. That doesn't happen though, which is good. We want to see more Uhura in season two. And goddamn, why? Why Braxton did he got? There was some gornography happening, and he got some Gorn goo sprayed on him, and then he's fucking dead. Or he jumps off a cliff. And mind you, Hemmer may not be dead. If you don't see the character disintegrate or die or something, there can be an alternate universe version of him, a mirror universe version to show up. So I don't think that's the last we see of Bruce Horak as Hemmer. Did that death disappoint or affect you in any way?
PJ, I feel like you're just being hopeful. That man like dove like off of that cliff, dude, and I feel like he fell like thousands of feet. And then he also is gonna have chest bursters or back bursters coming out of
It's
him.
it's going to come out of his neck this time. Yeah.
Mm,
Or
mm.
maybe they burrow because I one of the things sorry to cut you off, but one of the things about the way the action is filmed, it's gruesome, but I think they try to keep it as PG-13 as possible by having shaky kind of close-ups and like quick cuts where you don't exactly see the full horror of it when the things attack. It's edited very fast, and it's like you kind of see like the aftermath with the bodies lying down. But when they burst out, it's very reminiscent of Alien. Oh
It
come
is
on,
good.
yeah.
You know, something that I thought was interesting, the doctor, Dr. Mabenga, he was like, oh, in Orion's, like, the Gorn gestate for weeks, and in humans, they gestate for days. So obviously, with the Anar, they gestate in like hours. You know, that was pretty intense. But PJ, I feel totally different than you. So to use Starfleet Boys, one of Starfleet Boys' phrases, recency bias. I felt like this was the best episode of Strange New World. I did not mind that they uh, ate some stuff from like some great franchises. Like I was thinking that they probably paid some royalties to Disney for those two properties, Alien
You
and
wouldn't have
Predator.
to if it's not a direct like exact rip off or anything. I mean, they could pay homage to the point where people can claim that hey, you're ripping it off. But I see what you're saying. It's like you can that those parts are enjoyable because they're familiar, I guess, and because like I think we were talking to Ruben earlier. It's like yeah, Predator is awesome, Alien is awesome, so it's good to kind of copy that. Or like it didn't have the same effect for me. It just came across as like the Predator sound effects and the Predator vision, and it came across as so tacky to me. And the
Really?
episode itself, yeah, I know it's. I did like the Spock going berserker, like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna actually use my human rage as a tool," and I was like, "Okay, cool." But then you have that little girl who Laan is yelling at, and Mbenga's like, "Yeah, don't talk to my daughter." Oops, I mean my patient. But that part, I was kind of agreeing with Laan. I'm like, yeah, like hello, vital information, life and death kind of stuff. And then she recognizes this is. I hate the fact that Nurse Chapel kind of doesn't see this as more urgent. But when they find out the alien, the blue alien, has the infection, little girl doesn't warn anybody or say anything. She's like, I'll just go around the corner and plug my ears and close my eyes and sing "Ooh ah diddy diddy dum diddy do," like that girl in My Girl, and like when she gets locked down in the basement with the dead body. It's it's a frustrating episode. I was surprised at how much I was like, ugh,
But
ew,
but the thing is,
no,
sometimes it can be difficult to understand a child's behavior, especially one who has been like very scared and traumatized the way that she has
yeah,
been. Like so. A really good scene that makes me think of like the way that that girl may have like kind of frozen up is when that scene, like in the sick bay when Nurse Chapel comes back in, she finds like the chest bursters have like you know, are just like everywhere, not everywhere, but they're like in there with her and uh like Lawn comes in like later, like Lawn's like, oh, like search on like these sensors or like do some scanning. And like Nurse Chapel is like frozen because she's so afraid. And then Lawn like takes the shit from her and like tries to do it herself. But she's like, oh yeah, they're like evading scanners and she like throws it aside. Um, you know, I got all the scariness of this of all this, dude. Like I feel like it was really well acted, you know. Um, I feel like Chapel looked so scared in that medical bay when she erected those force fields around her, dude, and she like climbed up on the bed, dude. Like
that
she
was a
was
good
so
part. Yeah,
afraid.
yeah. Uh, yeah, there are certain moments in the episode like that. In Nurse Chapel, there's also a great. It's unrelated to the Gorn stuff, I guess, but at the end when she confronts Spock and they hug and it looks like they're gonna kiss or whatever, I'm like, this is a good way of setting up, a potential future relationship that is not gonna work out. Or it could be that they keep having these close moments and Spock just walks away at the end. He never follows through on the affection or whatever. Um, what do you think about Laan leaving? Do you think? I guess she's not going to be in the next episode, so we
So,
we will see her next season for sure, unless we see her in the finale somehow. I don't know. Apparently,
Chris
Kirk is going to be in the finale. I heard, but I don't know.
hmm. Christina Chong has really kicked ass this season. Like I think Lawn has had a lot of growth in her character. Like at the beginning of the episode when she came into the breakfast, she was talking about like having gone to a shrink. She seems, except when she's yelling at that girl, like she seems kind of like lighter and like I feel like I can see the evolution of the character. I think that Christina Chong is doing a great job with Lawn, and I think it's cool that she is gonna try to resettle that girl. I was thinking like, oh, maybe the ship needs like a Naomi Wildman, but I think it's cool that Lawn is gonna go out and um, try to find the girl's parents. But I would also think it would be really cool if like she couldn't find the girl's parents or like she found that they were dead or something, and then they brought her back and like Laon could help her, and then like the doctor could also like kind of like be her like adoptive father because she needs a family.
There was a line I noticed, Mbenga says when the final Gorn is frozen to death, and he goes, "It's dead, Chris." Kind of like it's dead, Jim, or he's dead, Jim.
I didn't notice that line, dude. I thought I thought that Captain Pike said that. It's dead.
No, well, he was watching, and then Mbenga's next to him, and he goes, "It's dead, Chris."
Hmm.
It's like, oh well, and Pike says, "Yeah." I don't know. I don't know. There's something about the way this episode was written. I just didn't. I don't know, dude. I mean, there's a nice little conversation, I guess, between Ahura and Hemmer, where he's like, be good and make friends or something. I don't know. Um, but when he gets sprayed with the goo, I was like, does Laan know enough about the Gorn that she could have just warned him before, or did she keep that to herself at the point when she knew it was too late? Like, what? That was strange because she reveals like, oh, that stuff is not to blind you; it's to it's how they reproduce. I'm like, did you just figure that out now, or did you already know that? You know what I mean? Like, what the hell?
Hmm.
Um,
I did catch that at the end. I would have to believe, PJ, that she did not know that. Because, I mean, that's a critical piece of information, dude. Like, yeah, I feel like if she knew, she would have said it. But I don't know, like when the thing, like, it's not, didn't throw up on his face, like when it ejected that stuff.
when it ejaculated on him, I mean, Bruce Hemmer even made the joke. It was like gornography. He made it was like very
Mm,
because he described being on set and like being blasted with the Gorn goo,
mm.
and he himself made an inappropriate joke about it. So it's okay if we do.
I wonder if it was warm, dude.
It was
Um,
actual Gorn. It was actual lizard. Oh, never mind. They got it
but
from an actual lizard, just to be authentic.
mm,
And
but
he's like,
at
"Oh, this
first,
this tastes funny." Yeah, go
at
ahead.
first,
Sorry.
at first, I thought it was like acid or something, but I knew that was gonna have like effects. And something else I thought, like, so this crew is like famous for like coming in and not having like enough equipment on, dude. Like, I feel like I would have, been wearing like helmets and like,
Hmm.
kind of like hazmat suits, kind of stuff, dude. You come in, you see all that fucking blood, dude. Like, oh man.
Yeah, it's I guess it depends on who writes the episodes, where the characters are either smart, kind of smart, or not so smart.
PJ, what
Uh,
did you think of the breakfast portion?
oh, where people get promoted. Yeah, that
Hmm.
dude's like, "Hey, you're a lieutenant now." I'm like, "Yeah, you're gone. You're gone in like 15, 20 minutes. You're out of this show for good."
Uh,
And sure enough, I was like, the baby Warren's like, "Rah, rah, rah." Very visceral. Uh, Michael Strathmore, Jansom stunned, literally stunned. I really, really like this episode. For those who know me, I've been very critical of this show. My novel length rants are proof, but this episode was very good.
Michael, I agree, dude. I thought this was very good, dude. I enjoyed it immensely.
The next episode could be all focused on Laan. I think, judging from the preview or the scene, it seems to be a Pike centric episode. I think they will close off the season with a Pike. And if anybody, if you're gonna focus on anybody besides Pike, like a B story, give a good B story to number one,
Mm.
because we've got enough of Spock so far, and we've got enough of Nurse Chapel and her's journey. We've gone through that. There's people have pointed out. Not so much number one. We had a what was it, episode 2 or 3 that was focused on her,
Episode 3, I
and
think.
and then she's kind of been in the background ever since. But I think it should be a captain and number one focused episode in the finale. I don't know if the Romulans are going to be involved or what it's about, but you see on the screen like the Romulan zone. They talk about it or something. I don't know. But if anybody wants to know the basic synopsis, Pike meets one of the people who dies in the incident that he saw in the future. So he meets the kid version of this person who's going to grow up and die in this accident, and he has to struggle with this guy, I think he's a captain or somebody, and his son on his ship having the knowledge that in a few years this kid's gonna die.
Hmm.
And if the Klingon time crystals are correct, it can't be avoided. And also canon, but I don't know what they're doing with the Gorn, man. I think they're messing them up. I think it's a bad redesign. I think to make them all like it's like Gremlins meets Aliens meets Predator. It's fucking,
Mhm.
it's zany. And like I said, I appreciate the technical aspects of the episode, especially that animatronic alien, that 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 dude who was helping the young girl and who's the first victim you see of the chest bursters or back bursters or wherever they come from. But aside from that, the characters didn't grab me, and you get a bit of, you wrap up some things like La'an needed that next Gorn episode to get all her shit out, and she had her primal scream, and she dealt with it's such a literal dealing with your demons kind of thing.
Fight me!
And it's like, damn you! And if you took a shot for every time she said the Gorn, the Gorn, the Gorn, the Gorn, I haven't counted, but you would be pissed off your ass
The gone.
if you played a drinking game where she said the Gorn shot. Oh, she said it 2 seconds later. Oh, 2 seconds later. Oh, it's like every time she's on screen, she says the Gorn at least 17 times. I'm exaggerating, but
Because it sounds scary, PJ.
the
The
Gorn,
gone.
the Gorn, pure evil, the Gorn, and it's I don't know. They've made them into just such generic sci-fi, uninteresting creatures, monsters of the week, and they had more interesting monsters of the week on friggin' X-Files.
Damn,
But yeah,
PJ, you're a tough customer, dude. But you're right. The design of that alien was absolutely awesome. Like,
awesome. I didn't get
yeah,
it.
dude. I think that was great, man. Like when they were like reading or they were listening to the transmission from the captain, and the captain was like, "Oh, like unknown species," you know. So I thought it was really cool that like, okay, well, the universal translator didn't work because like this was like a species that like that they had never seen before, and the design of it was absolutely awesome. I felt so bad that we lost him. I hope that maybe we'll see another one again. I thought that the set design in this episode was awesome. They did a great job of making me feel the tension. Like I jumped like 3 times in this episode. You know, um, yeah, for me, the costume design of the alien, and then like the set design of the ship I think they did a great job.
I have a I have an issue with it happened in the third season of um, Discovery where a ship crashed and it was all messed up and it strobed like incessantly, just constantly in the scene. It was like non-stop strobing with the light flickering everywhere.
Mhm.
It's a trope that I don't think is all that necessary. If you want to show that the ship is down and not really functioning, you don't need to have everything strobing. It's not an endearing effect in filmmaking that is appealing. They use it to heighten the tension of a scene, I think, and to show like damaged areas and whatnot. But when you have scene after scene of characters in rooms that are just it's redresses of their existing sets, but all messed up and strobes, just lights flickering. Every single thing that has a screen is flickering in the same kind of like it wouldn't bother a lot of people, but I'm a light sensitive person, which I like. It makes me physically uncomfortable sometimes if there's too much of like strobing stuff and you know what, when you get those warnings like
Mhm.
photosensitive people
Yeah,
may.
viewers. Yeah.
I won't have a seizure. It runs in my family, but I don't experience it myself. But I do get very uncomfortable. So it becomes difficult to watch scenes when, and now not every shot has like powerful contrasting flickering in it that's bothersome. It's just that it's constant and it's everywhere, even if it's in the background. And I don't think that's a good effect to show that like you're in a downed ship. Just show that everything's off. They wouldn't do that in the 90s. For one thing, the film cameras couldn't pick it up properly because it's all practical now. They didn't have the technology to have anything kind of animated on screens in those times anyway. And they would have flickering and but not to the insane extent that they do now in what I call poorly filmed shows. Now, Strange New World is not a poorly filmed show. Like Picard, it's better than the kind of crazy kinetic way the first two seasons of Discovery were filmed, which are
Yeah.
very distracting. And just in time, Ruben is here.
Uh,
Hey, Ruben.
hello, hello.
How are you tonight?
I'm pretty good. I'm technically wearing a Gorn shirt. It's actually one of my Galapagos shirts.
That would have been a better design if they just copied the iguana. Was it an iguana?
If they just would have shot like iguanas, but like enlarged them and just
Did
really
they ever
badly.
establish in Strange New Worlds that the Gorn are capable of building and flying interstellar spaceships? They did in that first Gorn episode because they were facing off against them
Right.
in their ships, and that's the problem. The way they present them here, they're just so like
How do they not rule
like
the
dun dun
galaxy?
dun 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 dun. You know, you think of that Gremlins movie. It's just zany, just fucking crazy. And you like, can you imagine the zany Gremlins mixed with like xenomorphs mixed with Predator? Okay, forget Predator because they can actually build a society. Like Predators can actually build ships and they're intelligent beings.
Right.
But say a xenomorph and a gremlin. Can you imagine them ever like
Xenomorph.
building spaceships? I know people say it's a young Gorn and it's like out of it's not learned anything, but I really don't want them to show an adult
I
Gorn.
mean,
I
and
don't think
at this again at the speed that they gestate and grow, and like, how do they not just take over planets instantly?
well, and that's when if three pop out of somebody, one of them eats the other. The alpha eats the other two. So like, what kind of reproducing is that? Like, that's weird. I suppose that happens in some species
Yeah,
too.
in
Like,
some species.
yeah, but they're so vicious and like off the wall, and I don't like the redesign. I do appreciate the technical aspects of it, but I think a lot of that was so poorly filmed. Like the more gorier parts of the episode are the most frustrating to me because they're so close up and quick cut, and it's like it's meant to be like kind of shaky and visceral in that way. I get it, but if you're gonna go for the violence, don't cut it up so quickly. It's like the MPAA back in the 80s trying to cut down the Friday the 13th movies. Like, cut 3 seconds out of this like bloodletting scene or something. It's like, but
I mean,
these
nothing's
are
ever
nitpicks. But the
focused
overall
on,
issue
like,
was the Gorn and how they're just treating it. And I know it's a canon thing, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Ruben. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, just nothing's ever really given time for you to really enjoy it. It's all just like you're saying, just this MTV editing that just goes next thing, next thing, next thing. People crying, next thing. Speech conversations, next thing, next thing, next thing. Like every episode this season has had zero sense of time. It just everything just happens, like in basically like a linear back to back order where there's no time in between anything. It's so strange to me. That's why like the gestation period of these Gorn made no sense to me. They basically they jizz on you, and in like 10 minutes you start re- they start having their babies inside you, and then 10 minutes later they come out of you, and then 10 minutes later one of them's like the size of a dog, and then 10 minutes later it's just a ping 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 ping. You know, there was no like,
Well, the
oh,
one
they
that was
were
the
with
size
these-
of the dog was born earlier, as far as I understand. But I get what you're saying. Like they almost did it in the later Alien films. These are copying where the gestation period would speed up rapidly. He's like,
right.
this didn't take this short of a period of time to do. Like, there was a lot more time. Like in the first Alien, like from the time that John Hurt gets impregnated or whatever,
No,
there's
they
a bit
have
of time that
yeah.
passes.
He's got a thing on his face, then it comes off, then they have dinner. Like things.
They do grow fast though.
Yeah,
But
no, they do
sometimes it's
definitely
too fast in some movies. It's like
for
what?
sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
but
But like you could have had like Hammer gets jizzed on in the beginning, and then you have the doctor. I'm gonna say it. I'm
you
gonna
love
say it.
saying that.
I'm gonna say it every time because that's
Did
what
you
it
know that
is.
Bruce Horak himself was on what's the fucking thing the Ready Room
Tonight Show. Oh,
with Will Wheaton, and when that was brought up, he talked about being on the set and the dude had to blast him with the Gorn goo. And he said it was very gornographic. We were filming gornography, and he's like making it. And Will Wheaton, nearly fell off his chair because
activate laughter.
activated
That's hilarious, dude.
constant enthusiasm, no matter what.
Like you could have had a Mbenga trying to figure out how to stop Hammer all this episode from getting sick. Instead, he's having speech conversations with Uhura, who's apparently an engineer. Like I don't understand. Who's a cadet for like 2 months and she's already going back. Like I don't even know. That's what
I
I'm
think
saying.
it's,
Like,
it's probably been like 6 months.
but really, does it feel like these 9 episodes have taken place in that much time? I feel like it's been like 2 months. These people barely know each other. They barely interacted with each other in any real significant way. Why
Do you
is
like
there
Hammer,
no
though?
dishwasher on the Enterprise? Why is there no dishwasher on the fucking Enterprise?
Yeah, I was
Because-
surprised to see him wash dishes
I
too.
have one in my house.
One thing I figured out: Pike is weird. Pike is like an awkward dad, like away with his dad jokes and he's like, I'm gonna
like
have big quarters where I constantly bring my crew. That's very unconventional for a captain to be so social like that, and then to have like fucking Spock dry the dishes in the 23rd century. It's like,
And then he's like, when is he actually ever really captain? No one ever really listens to him. He doesn't really coordinate anything. Like,
is
Why is-
milquetoast a good word to describe him?
why is Una on the show? Like, there's
I
so many
like-
characters, and most of them are just there. Like, they just exist.
They haven't given Una a lot to do, I find, since the episode that was focused on her. She's kind of been in the background. They focused
like
on
they
Nurse
filmed,
Chapel,
like,
Spock.
6 hours of Ortega's just staring or looking off at something. And then they just use whatever cuts they need of her.
She
just
wasn't in
stay-
this episode that much, I don't think.
No, she's at
Yeah,
the end
she was
giving
at the
this
end.
speech that's just random. Like, there's no narrative, like, cohesion. It's just shit happening.
They're having a lot of funerals. At least they acknowledge in the show that when crew members die, like they show that people mourn them and stuff. That like if every if every red shirt on the original series got a funeral, like you wouldn't have time. It would just be too much. But I don't know. I mean,
And, like, I have my second note I wrote when they introduced the other cadet, the one other cadet. I was like, she's dead. She's going to die in this episode. Guarantee it. And sure enough, whoop, done.
oh yeah, I thought the dude who they promoted to lieutenant, that's who I thought was gonna die, and they both did.
Yep,
So-
and they both did.
It's I don't want to rag on anybody's enthusiasm or their enjoyment of this episode, but to me it was so schlocky. It doesn't fit with the rest of the season so much. There are like 3 episodes now in the whole season where they're kind of in this territory. This is the worst for me. The one with Captain Angel, whose character I liked until it got a little too weird at the end. And then what was the other one? And the first Gorn episode. So the first and the second Gorn episode, not so great. And then that other one. I don't want them to ever go back to the Gorn again. They're going Klingons next season. Season 2 is apparently not going to be strange or new either. So I don't mind bring back the Klingons, man. Why not?
No, I want Klingon, dude.
Just reboot TOS already. Just do it. Grow some cojones and just do it. Stop trying to piecemeal it and just do it.
A lot of Alien Geek and Review says a lot of Alien franchise vibes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the girl was Newt. I mean, the beginning, the alien was like the one grown-up Gorn was like the dog alien from part 3.
Sam Kirk was Hudson. Who is Hudson? Bill Paxton's
Hicks.
character.
Yeah, Hudson.
Game
Yeah,
over, man.
Hicks is Michael Bean.
I wanted the
Uh,
little girl in the episode to say, "They come out at night. They come out. Was it come out
they
mostly at
come
night?
out. Yeah, they come out at
Mostly or
night
something.
mostly.
Mostly."
Yeah, it was crazy. And then Star Trek Beyond because they're coming to find that crashed ship on the volume wall, which I
In
can't
fact,
stand anymore.
the game over, man. The game over line, like one or two lines after that is actually Newt's line. That's where she says, "Oh, they come out at night mostly, whatever she says." But yes, it was like so those movies. You pointed out a few more, didn't you? Like Alien 3 and
Yeah, I saw Alien, Aliens, Alien 3. Geek mentions Alien Covenant there too. Like Star Trek Beyond. I was like, wow, that's just like, wow. How many years did they have to make just 10 episodes? It's 10. Season 1 of Next Generation was 26 episodes and they made it in a year, bro.
different
1
times.
year.
They were overworked too. Those people. My
Oh
God,
no,
but
for
they
sure,
were.
for sure. That's why the quality of TV is way better in general now because they do less episodes.
There's
But
a fire. There,
that's what puzzles me about this show is that why does this show feel like it's like season 7 already, and they're just phoning it in?
well, I think there's only room for improvement. If this is, it's a good season. It has 3 episodes that I'm not too hot about. So there's 7. To me, that's a win. I know it sounds like I'm like way too negative, but I'll take a win. Granted, I just watched the new episode of. I won't get into The Boys. I won't give anything away. I'm just saying I watched the new episode of The Boys before I came on here, and I was like, "This is television. This
It's
is
fucking
entertaining,
light
interesting,
years.
well written, beautiful fucking stuff, and it can be visceral and violent and disgusting at the same time, and still be actually artistically fucking credible." I'm not saying this isn't. I'm saying it's a different ball game in the
Yeah,
TV streaming world now that Strange New Worlds has to compete with. And even Star Wars is having a hard time with its millions and millions of dollars competing with the best
it's crazy.
that's out there. So
That's so
you've got to
bizarre to
be
me.
on top of your game. So to have an episode where you're like, let's just do a tribute or an homage to Aliens and Predator and
Twice because
whatever
the
the fuck.
last Gorn episode was a little bit of a rip off of Alien too. So it's like when in their mind Gorn equals Alien. That's it. Like they've equated in every way possible because now the Gorn don't seem. I guess they grow into these logical creatures who can make spaceships. But like I look at lizards around my neighborhood and I don't see them ever making a spaceship, bro. They're pretty stupid.
What did you think of the animatronic alien dude who at the
That
beginning?
was nice. I mean, the work on that was really nice. Like, I wish they would have like made it more central to the plot. Like, again, have Ahura learn his language, have a conversation with him. He doesn't even realize he's infected. Then we find out he's infected. Like, no, he's just there. He's
Yeah,
infected. He dies. Next scene. I'm like, well, okay, I guess if that's all you want to do.
they have a character in Discovery called Linus. He's a Saurian, and it's a combination of practical makeup and digital eyes. Like his eyes are
Oh,
filled
nice.
in digitally. They're big.
That looks really cool. Like to me, that was my favorite thing in the whole episode, and the shoulder lights, which I thought were neat.
It, I think I don't like this full CG approach to the Gorn. I don't think it's never going to work if they want to make them characters in Trek. I don't think they've had fully CG characters in Enterprise who
That
spoke
should
and
look
had
like
long
Voyager
conversations.
level CG.
Yeah, it's the practical elements. I appreciated. They did. It did look a little tacky and old school, but I can't argue with interesting puppets. Even though the physical look of them, I'm like, this is not a redesign I would like. I would like them to do the Gorn with a combination of animatronics and CGI and augmentation. It like using having this blue alien in here. Sure, you can't have him speak English. You can have him speak their
No, but that's
alien.
what Uhura's for.
That's what I'm saying. It's much easier to just animate them just going like that and alien language as opposed to like syncing it up.
Maybe you should just learn some basic, teaches some basic sign language or something. So
But
that's Like, show me the character being a linguist.
Yeah. But if you're going to use puppets for the Gorn, there's also a technique that was perfected all the way back in 1990 for animatronic lip syncing to human speech.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember from Gremlins 2, the talking gremlin. You will never ever see in anything else animatronic mouth movements that are so well synced to the audio as that movie. And the reason why is that it was computer programmed to sync with the audio. So that's why it's so pitch perfect. So if you go back and watch the talking gremlin in that movie, you wonder why that technology has never been utilized to replace a like to have a digital character talk and be that articulate in the mouth where it's like, holy shit, it looks like it's really talking. I don't know if anybody remembers Gremlins 2, but the talking gremlin was something beyond its time in terms
Well, you're
of
making me think of
technical achievement.
a video I saw from the Corridor crew recently about a lip syncing technology now that it's basically like a deep fake. So basically, it's
Yeah.
German film shot in German, and then the actors recited their lines again in English, and then they used the software to manipulate the mouths of the actors in the movie so that they look like they're speaking English.
Yeah.
So it's dubbed, but it doesn't look like it's dubbed.
Yeah.
It's like the deep fake on the lips, basically. So that was pretty cool. But like they could do, I don't know. This show's weird to me, man, because like it seems like they blew the budget on sets. They were like, let's make a fucking hotel room for Pike to sleep in. Let's make an open flame on a spaceship, which is a bad idea. Like in any way possible. I don't care how much technology you have, it's just not a good idea. Flame eats oxygen. Like you do not want that on your spaceship. But
Ruben,
whatever.
maybe it's a hologram. Dude.
Maybe.
I was just
we
gonna
could-
say maybe
Yeah,
it's not real
that
at
would
all,
be
but
neat.
yeah.
That would be neat. If somebody like goes, and it goes.
I feel like it's a hologram, dude.
I give you that one. I give you that one. I mean, that makes a lot. That actually makes me happy thinking it's a hologram. No, I'm like, oh, I like that. I didn't think about that. But like, they spend all this money on sets and stuff, but then they don't spend money on anything else really. There's barely any spaceship shots. Like one of the things that irritates me about what I tell you about, like what I constantly bring up about time. They get they're doing their thing. They get called on this mission, and they have to say, okay, we're gonna drop the away team, and then the Enterprise is gonna go off. You know, I immediately thought of like that episode where like Picard and Wesley got stuck on the moon, and the Enterprise was stuck doing another mission, and they couldn't help each other, and it was going back and forth a little bit. I was like, oh, it'd be cool if we saw like half the crew on the ship doing something, and then the other half on the crew, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But like, they don't cut to like a ship of the Enterprise warping off to the mission. They just cut and they're there. There's no
Yeah.
like transition, no story transition. It's just we need to go on this mission. We're on the mission, and you're like, okay, you know, like, you can't give me like just a little warp shot. Nothing. Just okay, whatever. And that's the
Yeah.
weirdness of the show. Like it doesn't have these like establishing shots. Like it's just always in the thing. Reminds me of Discovery.
You're
And
talking about the
Picard.
whole series or this episode in particular?
Well, to me, it's every episode. Every episode kind of just ignores time like that. It just things are just happening effectively right after each other.
Would you say time is not on its side?
Time. And man, yeah, Disney's ruined that AR wall thing to me. I just now I can't unsee it.
Yeah, one of the writers got the Alien box set for Christmas in 2019. That's a good point because this was brought up earlier. I don't know if anybody's aware of the John Campea show, but today you had Robert Meyer Burnett, who's a huge, very harsh critic of modern Trek, and Chris Gore, who I've been watching since the
Film threat.
G4 Tech. What was the name of that channel back in the day?
G4, but it was
G4.
something else too.
So they were talking about people complained about Obi-Wan. Now we're not going to talk about other shows. I'm just saying this volume, this AR wall, this
whatever you want, stagecraft, whatever you want to call it.
Stagecraft. They pointed out that it can be used very well
Yeah, for
and
sure.
its overuse can become noticeable. Like the best stuff is like the combination of actual practical location and for certain shots, like somebody riding a thing, so you could have the prop, the actor sit on a prop of some alien creature, and have the background move, so you don't have to actually go out and put somebody on a thing and move them through an environment, and then the later shots in that same environment will be a practical thing. You blend; it's a matter of blending, but the overuse of it or the dependency on it, and they point out, like especially in the pandemic era when they used it much more than they probably would have,
Right.
or depended on it more, becomes a little jarring. When they land on that planet, there are a few shots where I'm like, this looks, it almost looks old school in a way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I
how
was gonna
the
say that. It
'60s look,
reminded me of like
but
the modern
updated.
version of just like the
Yeah,
red sky from
yeah.
TOS. And so I kind of like I was like the volume was annoying me, but at the same time I was like, oh, but it kind of gives me the vibe. So
It's
I'm caught on that one.
somehow this show gets away with it better than something that's trying to be a little more photorealistic, like some of the Star Wars stuff.
Well,
Which,
and they
by the
don't
way,
abuse
for the
it
most
as
part, they use it quite well. I'm just saying
Star
sometimes
Trek.
it doesn't work.
Strange New Worlds doesn't abuse it like the way Obi-Wan did. Obi-Wan was just ridiculous.
It's a
It
great
was like
tool,
they
yeah.
didn't want to shoot anywhere but on that fucking stage. You know, here they had some sets. They had some nice little tunnels they could actually run through and actually run like normal humans because there's an actual length of set they can
Yeah.
run. Um, that all that stuff looked good. That's why I say they spend money on the sets, but like I notice how few aliens there are on. I mean, aside from you have Saru. I didn't watch later Discovery, so maybe, but like regular aliens, it's interesting how few there are in modern Trek. And now they've killed off Hemmer effectively. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. Whatever.
Wait. They killed off who? Hemmer? I didn't watch the end. I still have to watch. Damn it. No,
I was like, what?
I knew. I kind of suspected he was gone when he got the stuff on him, and then they make the comment,
This stuff.
"Oh, it's supposed to blind you." I'm like, who knows what? Because like, who knows what about the Gorn? It's so weird. If she has all this knowledge, or apparently all this
Saying
knowledge,
stuff.
according, like if I'm correct, her brother got on, and he fucked him up, right? You know what I mean? So why why does Laan just say at the end, like right when it's too late, no, they're not all gone? It's like,
So
did you
we
keep
never
that
saw
information yourself, or did you just figure that out? Like, what's going on? I'm
we
confused.
never saw
Maybe
her
I'm just
brother get
stupid. I don't
spit
know.
on. He just told her to run off, dude.
Do you think he's dead? We didn't see him die.
I don't think he's dead. I think
I
that
think
he's
he's gonna
still
come back
alive.
somehow.
He's
Uh-huh.
gonna come back as the first like Gorn like that we saw in TOS. Some hybrid shit. Oh no, what did I tell you? He's gonna come back
kill me.
as the toxic guy from RoboCop.
Oh,
Jizzed
God.
on.
Or Toxic Avenger right after the accident.
I never. And then he becomes the creature from the skin of evil in TNG. Well,
You know,
I
it was
don't.
sad.
uh,
It was
I
sad
don't
that they got rid of Hammer. In the at the end of the first season, like I was just feeling like I was getting to know him. I wanted to see more of his telepathic powers, but it wasn't to be. And and Ruben, you're talking about timelines. Like I was telling PJ earlier that the doctor had mentioned uh, that Orion's like it gestated in like weeks, and humans it gestated in days,
yeah.
but obviously for the ANR like it gestates in like hours. Like I feel like they were on that ship for like 6 hours.
They some jargon that explains that away, or like makes it make sense. It's just it like it if they'd done something different, or like if the Gordon just laid eggs and they discovered eggs or something, but this whole like let's have them pop out of their chest and let's have them have predator. They have to have been saying this in the pitching room in the writing room, like let's do predator and aliens and gremlins and fucking like and mission together and like make
That's what I'm saying.
reinvent the
Like,
Gorn that way. But they didn't look at the essential core thing of like these are lizards who are sentient and highly intelligent, and to make them so visceral and zany. And I know it's the young ones, and like we don't know what the adult ones are like. Maybe they will look different, but I just don't like the approach, the initial approach to like. And this whole thing about the Gorn,
you could have them
the Gorn are
dealing-
evil. They're, well, I don't believe in pure evil. I don't believe in pure evil. I believe in motive and opportunity. I don't know, fucking know. What were you saying, Ruben?
I don't know. I just started thinking of
My
all the
brain
ways
is
they
broke.
could have done the same ideas but better. Like, again, having Uhura trying to learn this alien thing's language while it's sick, and they don't know why it's sick because they don't know anything about the Gorn. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew, Lon and Captain Pike, Captain Plot Armor, and Spock, Mister Plot Armor Spock, and like everyone in the show, half the away team has plot armor. So I'm like, who cares about any of this? But whatever, you have them dealing with the adult or the whatever the older Gorn thing in the meantime, and then when they finally kill that, that's when Uhura learns this thing's language, and it tells her, kill me because I'm about to give birth to another one, and then it's too late, and so now the second half of the episode is them dealing with, like, I don't know, just something. I don't know. It's such a weird episode. I was seriously, you can ask Geek that, like, I was like 28 minutes in, and I'm like, I don't really care what happens in this episode. Like, and I would look at the time, and be like, holy shit, there's still 25 minutes left in this episode.
They should have done it where they show the Enterprise going off on a boring, mundane mission, and the away team running for their lives being hunted by Gorn, and just cut back and forth between them.
I mean, it just feels to me like there's so, like, I keep bringing this up. Sometimes like it feels like a first draft that went to. They just it's good. Let's go. And they didn't sit down and go, okay, wait a minute, we can add these parts, we can shave this out and add this, and like because again, you compare it to something like The Boys, it's a 60-minute episode that's jam packed with fucking shit happening, and story and setups and payoffs and like constantly, and from all these different storylines, because that's expert like level TV writing. That's what TV, the best of TV, should be, and. Whatever, hate me if you want, but like that's what I want for Star Trek. Like, there's no reason Strange New Worlds cannot be that kind of level of storytelling. I mean, it doesn't have to be violent like The Boys and have a hero-gasm, but like you can do crazy shit, and like every episode should be like, what? And instead every episode's like, cool, all right, yeah, I guess, yeah.
I watched it.
Yeah, like my eye holes saw it. Yeah, like Hammer dying, I wanted to feel for it, but it's like this guy's barely been in the series. He barely does anything, and then the only one series episode he does a lot. I'm questioning why he's not the one not affected by the fucking just because he's blind. I guess he doesn't get affected by the magical spell in the last episode.
But at least in the last episode, it was constructed well enough to where I felt there was an emotional payoff, and I felt more for I felt more for Mbenga's little girl leaving him and going off on her own, and him having to like continue on without her. Like, I was like, oh my god, I'm feeling something here. I can't believe they did this. And then it's like one of my personal favorite characters in the show. I don't feel anything when he goes away. I'm like, that's a weird thing. It's like, why am I not? I've questioned it. Was like, why am I not upset? For one thing, because you didn't. With characters in sci-fi, when you don't see them literally like disintegrate, if you don't see them like they can be stabbed and on the ground and it look like they're dead. Like, oh, they couldn't have survived that, whatever, through the gut.
I was waiting since he was falling. I was waiting for the shot of the Gorn ripping out of his chest like Alien 3.
I thought they were going to do that.
Like, they might as well. I mean, yeah,
they would have come out of his neck, but yeah, that would have been even. But to do him dirty like that, I think they avoided showing the consequences of the fall to somehow later, if they wanted to bring Bruce Horak back, they could make up whatever happened after that, like, I don't know, a bird caught him or something. I don't fucking know. And ate like some actual predator
He became a pterodactyl born.
instantly like ate the things that came out of him, and like somehow like he survived because the saliva of the alien was like healing or something. I don't fucking know. You could make anything up. It's sci-fi.
Hashtag save Hammer.
Hey, save Hammer. Bring Hammer back. Without PE says, if the comment will appear, without parental supervision, the Gorn become like creatures in the Alien franchise, and with parental supervision, they are more like the creatures in the Predator franchise.
Sounds good to me.
I can just see the xenomorphs from Aliens like with proper parents and like going to school and like getting an education. Well, Predator Society would have they would be like that. They would have a hierarchy.
I wanted to ask,
learning how to write and read. And
but do you know if in the TOS Gorn episode, does the Gorn ever bleed?
Do bleed?
And is the blood yellow? Because if you notice when she shatters the frozen Gorn, its blood is yellow like a xenomorph. I'm just like, why not? No, but I was like, maybe they established in TOS that the blood was yellow, and I don't know.
I don't think so. I can't remember.
But my first thought when she shatters it, you see the yellow, and I was like, mm-hmm.
If somebody remembers, maybe they did that in Enterprise. I don't know.
Oh, the Gorn. Yeah, I haven't seen all of that. They could have showed
yellow Gorn blood, but isn't the Predator's blood neon or something?
It's like bluish, isn't it?
Okay,
I thought it was like green.
Oh, like, sorry, green, neon green.
Yeah,
and then he puts on the blue shit in part 2 to heal it.
You know, I'm not even joking when I say the thought occurred to me that when they froze the Gorn, that one of two things would happen. It would crack open out of its shell and attack her or whatever. Or when she smashed it, the pieces would go on the floor and then they would melt and it would like zoom like the T-1000 in Terminator 2. It would just...
and then the episode ends with Arnold Schwarzenegger off screen going, "Get down." And see like credits roll, like, what? I do appreciate the cold killed them too, because at this point I was thinking of the Gorn as giant iguanas. You know, I live with a lot of iguanas, and when it gets cold, they freeze and they basically fall out of trees. And so I was like, yeah, that's funny. Lizards do don't like the cold. You know, they don't die in it, but they don't like it. It's sci-fi. No one has ever really gone.
Gorn, but not forgotten.
Yeah. I don't know. Stranger Worlds is a show. That's all I can say about it. It's a show. It exists.
It's like when Wesley gets hit in the face with that pie. Do you remember, like, in the early days of YouTube, it was like Sexual Trek, and it was like a shot of Deanna not, making a noise, and then it was Worf screaming into camera in like season 1 or 2, like displaying his roar, his like primal roar, and then directly after that, it's Wesley getting hit in the face with a cream pie. I don't know where the clips are from, but it was one of the first like big Star Trek YouTube videos, Sexual Trek or something, and it was just cut in a way where it was like it looked like people getting off.
Okay.
That's why I thought, like, you're gonna do another supercut. You gotta have that. You gotta have the Horak hammer scene where he gets blasted with the Gorn goo.
Jeez,
because that's the big take. I'm not even joking when I say that's the big takeaway from the episode. Like you pointed out earlier before in the day, I was like, you know what? That's the most memorable thing. Poor Hammer getting jizzed on by a Gorn.
My other most hilarious scene was La'an's sad battle roar.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I was like, wow, this is weak sauce, girl. You ain't gonna cast in a Viking movie anytime soon.
I understand they need to give her that like that Gorn resolution. I don't know if I assumed it might have happened in season 1, but I think I'm done with the Gorn now. I don't want to ever see them again, ever. I mean, it's like, I don't know what it is about modern Trek and like thinking it's cool to fuck with a good thing. Now, I'm not saying you need to do some guy in a suit who lumbers around awkwardly and has like weird digital when they remastered it, they gave him blinky eyes. I'm like, don't even do that. Like, what's the point? Like, you're just making it look weird now. It's a guy in a weird costume. Just get over it. And then you have the god awful crappy Gorn in Enterprise. People love that two-parter in A Mirror Darkly, I think it's called, from Enterprise. I can't watch it. I think it's the worst Star Trek two-parter that I think there ever is.
Wow.
I
I've
can't
never been
stand
able
it.
to see all of Enterprise yet.
I
I've tried to
really
get through
hate
it.
the whole episode. Like, the whole thing is purely Mirror Universe. I appreciate that. Like, it's not even, they're not even Prime. It's
So it's
all
Gorn
Mirror.
in the Mirror Universe?
And the way they do the Gorn in that, it's just technology at the time. I mean, they did their best, but god damn, like, it's so bad. And
Like Jim, what's this fucking guy's name? What's Kirk's brother's name? Steve? What's his name? I call
and
him
apparently
Sam.
there's
I call him Sam Rockwell. What's Sam Rockwell's name? Jim.
Sam Kirk.
Sam Kirk. Like random, just character doing random things randomly. None of these people feel like randomly, remotely like professional trained space explorers. Like not even remotely. They're so chaotic.
Yeah, I can hear the Benny Hill music a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's,
No,
dun, 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 dun.
So yeah, my last week I think is gonna go down as my favorite.
Not every
episode
episode though. It's certain ones. It's show's not consistent. You know what? This is the problem with modern Trek. A lot of it, like, it's like not. It's never consistently good or bad to me. It's always like, okay, oh. It's like just like that.
I think last week is going to go down as my favorite episode of the season because they just embraced the camp and went balls to the wall camp, and I'm like, fuck it. And
I
it had
agree.
one
I think that is the
cohesive
best
story that drove the whole episode from start to finish. Like this was another episode where it's just like bounce over here to these characters. Oh, let's see what Spock's doing. Spock's angry. Spock's angry. Spock. I don't know what that leads to, but whatever. He's angry. And then Spock's angry again. And Chapo and like it's just like ping 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 ping. You know, there's no cohesion to any of it. Uhura's doing the log at the beginning, but it's not really an Uhura episode. You know, so it's like they're trying to do the character thing, but it's a plot-driven show.
Yeah,
It's completely a plot-driven show.
I do like
fine.
some of the tension with the Nurse Chapel in the room after the things hatch, like her reactions and stuff.
That part, yeah. No, I'm saying, yeah, the ending with her and Spock and the funeral, and he like his anger thing, and
yeah, there's in this particular episode, there's a few good things here and there. I did like Spock going in berserker mode, like I'm going to use my human rage as a tool. I did kind of chuckle when La'an's like, now I've got to do it. I'm like, okay.
Like, there's no lingering on anything. Like, you want me to feel bad about Hemmer dying, but then you're cutting away now to Spock being mad and him and Chapel's little random love affair that you're trying to shove down my throat because it's been fan fiction for, whatever. But, like, I don't really care about these two characters getting hooked up. I personally don't find Ethan Peck a compelling Spock at all. He's my least favorite actor of all the characters. But like, and then like again, why is Pike even on this show? Like, I don't understand. It's so weird. There's so many characters, and they're just there.
I didn't like Picard too much in the first. I started watching TNG in the second season, and then third, and I didn't see the first season until like season 4 or 5 was actually out. So when I went back and watched the very first season, I'm like, why is Picard not cool? He's not the Picard I know. He's weird. He's too uptight. He's too stiff. Like, there's no it's almost no personality. Not every episode, because there is like a bit of comedy and stuff, and there are actually some good episodes in season 1, but
there's plenty of good episodes in season 1.
It's just where I'd seen him evolve a little more, and then to go back and discover the first season for the first time. Like, I remember Encounter at Farpoint, seeing that. Like, I'm like, oh, even Q sucks in this.
But that was the nature of TV back then, right? Because they're making 26 episodes in a year, so they're literally figuring out the show as they're making it. Whereas now, you have years to really conceive of the show and rehearse and hit the ground like you're prepared to make the show like a movie. It's not like old TV, so there's no reason that you're trying to figure out the show as you're going along. That's why I always say when you see that first episode, that's pretty much what you're getting, because shows don't evolve in that same way most of the time in the modern age in the same way they used to. And so it's just strange to me why. Like I just worked on a with a producer in New York on a pilot pitch thing that's going around now, and like we've been working on this thing for almost a year. I wrote the pilot. Like there's 5 drafts of the pilot. We have pages of character information and where the characters go and what their personal stories in relation to the grander story. Granted, Stranger World is not a serialized show, even though they sure do like throw out there. But I just don't get it. I don't get how they have all this time and money and technology, and they're not fucking nailing it. Like just hitting a fucking. I mean, and with that said, it's still the best live action Star Trek show of the modern era.
It's so gradually getting better, isn't it? So gradually, so very gradually getting better. Hemmer was such a waste of a character.
I
Someone
mean,
says. Wait, I click on the comment. It takes like a second or two to appear. Stoopy McQueen says, Hemmer was such a waste of a character. Can you think that the Gorn we see in Strange New Worlds can fly spaceships? Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. And PE responds, the Gorn that we saw in this episode were newborn baby Gorn. Presumably, when they are grown adults, they can give lectures on theoretical physics and whatnot.
yeah, so as you see here,
It's like David Tennant in that Harry Potter movie where he's like,
MC square.
La'an's
Somewhere in a
fight week
Gorn
was
dorm, there's that picture of Einstein, but the Gorn version with the tongue out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, damn, it just sucks. I mean, I guess it is an improvement.
Dude, that's hilarious. I like this show, dude. I thought that this episode was good, dude. I didn't mind, the nods to Alien and Predator. You know, like a lot of their shows this season have been derivative either of another Star Trek show or some other IP. But I don't mind that about it. You know, I had fun watching it. Like I got a few jump scares. You know, I thought the acting was great. I thought the set design was also very good. You know, I
That
like this
design was
episode.
nice. Whoever's doing
it,
the sets is doing a great job. That's for sure.
it certainly seems to be the most successful of the modern Trek shows. Uh,
And the
it,
music too. The music was like almost non-existent in the episode. It was so light in almost every scene.
does the constant strobing of screens and lights everywhere in almost every consecutive scene, does that bother anybody else but me? Because I don't know.
I mean,
Um,
it's just to me, it bothers me because it's just kind of generic filmmaking.
It,
It's an easy
yeah,
way to create tension if you're constantly strobing and darkness and you don't let
settle.
anyone focus on anything. Nothing
Yeah.
settles, so you can't ever really. Uh, it's that also a very modern style.
So we're almost at the end of the season. Uh,
One more episode.
one more episode, and it's. Do you want to know the setup for the next episode? It seems to be Pike centric, and he's talking to a captain. By the way, he's talking to some. I can't remember if it's Captain Admiral or whatever he is, but he has a different insignia, like some different star. They're trying to do the old school TOS
Oh, what they
thing.
originally wanted to do, right?
mm,
So he's got a different kind of. He doesn't have the Delta, but he has something else. Anyway, this captain, his son comes in, his teenage son. I wanted to meet Captain Pike, he says. Captain Pike is like, oh, what was your name? Kid says the name. He's like, oh, I gotta go. He's like, I don't feel well. He gets out of there. Una comes up to him. She's like, he's one of the people you mentioned. He's one of the ones that doesn't survive. So he has to deal with the fact now he has this kid
mm.
on his ship who he knows in a couple of years will die, and he, you know, apparently theoretically and just for canon's sake can't do anything about it.
I remember another funny scene to me when they find Newt hiding behind that crate, and they're like, "Good hiding spot." I'm like, "Yeah, behind a crate that's otherwise in the open,
Yeah.
where everyone can see her."
Maybe they were being sarcastic.
It's
So,
such a strange show, man.
remember when I said early on, beware that this may not be so much strange new worlds, but old familiar ones? Yeah. There's not much not new, but it's new in the sense that they reimagined certain familiar things. But it's like I think the best episodes are the ones where they don't lean on canon so much, like the last episode, the one with the ceremony with the you know at the floaty cities and Pike's treacherous lover.
Oh
That was
right,
good. That was probably the best Pike episode
Captain Cup.
so far, like in terms of character. And they're not all bad. It's just come on, penultimate, and it's like this.
So now
It's
you
kind
get
of
rid of
it's a
the.
horror episode. I appreciate they're doing something, but if you want to look at good horror episodes of Star Trek, look at what's that one where Barclay's a spider?
Well, the fucking Tuvix and the one that comes after it were terrifying. The one with the clown from Voyager.
That one was scary, dude.
Oh, what was that episode called? With Michael McKean.
Oh yeah, where he's like a clown. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrifying episode.
Evolution. No wait, what was it called? Genesis. Genesis. Uh,
Genesis is planet forbidden.
the Michael McKean Voyager episode is
Phantasm? No. What is that episode called? Damn.
he played the clown in,
Yeah.
and the page won't load.
Let me
It's
look
a
at my
second
notes here.
season. It's a second season episode. The Thaw.
The
The
Thaw.
Thaw. I haven't watched Voyager in like a long time. All right.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna look at my notes one last time, see if I forgot anything. Uh, oh, I wrote, "Oh no, Hura's leaving." Laugh out loud.
Dude, so I wonder if they're gonna use Hammer as an opportunity to bring in Scotty in
Oh
season
yeah,
two, or
because
maybe
the
Scotty like in next episode.
uh-huh.
And he's just Simon Pegg with that Instagram app that makes you look younger.
And I'm assuming they're gonna show Kirk in the next episode, right?
That's what's being speculated. Yeah.
Hmm.
Paul West something. I think it's going to be a cliffhanger leading into next season.
Hmm.
La'an is coming back. Apparently she's leaving, but she will be back because there are set photos of her with John Wesley Shipp. I think his name is. I could be totally botching that, but I think that's his name. He plays Kirk, so he might be in the last episode. They're going to do something like they did with Discovery in the first season. We're like, this show can't survive on its own legs. No, I'm joking. But you know
I
what?
love my notes.
Fast tracking the
on.
TOS stuff is not a good sign of. It's like what are the ideas that we have for this strange new world show?
Mhm.
Well, let's go back and take a look at what we can pillage in the old book of Trek. It's like what the fuck? Just make new shit up, and then research if they haven't done it. Go actually, you know how that episode? Okay, The Simpsons did everything. Wouldn't it be a challenge to think of an idea that The Simpsons didn't already come up with? Because they've repeated their own ideas. You know what I mean? To the point where you think everything's been done in sci-fi. It's all going to be kind of familiar. But shake it up, make it different. It doesn't feel different and strange and new enough. Though it's not a bad experience. And I'm just a picky bastard now because I'm exposed to all this
Well, there's a
good
lot of
stuff.
competition out there, bro. Like that's the reality now, you know. Like as cheesy as Encounter at 4.1, Encounter at 4.1 was when that came out, there was nothing like it on TV. So it was mind blowing to most people who watched it. Were like, "What in the hell is going on?" It's cheesy, sure, but like, and that's what like to me is like, Star Trek is competing with modern shows, not old Star Trek. So when you compare it to other things, even things like I just started watching. My wife is rewatching Downton Abbey, and I've never seen it, so I'm kind of watching it.
Downton.
Downton, yeah.
Down,
That show,
Downton
the
Abbey.
directing on that show is off the chain, amazing. The set design, the like acting, the writing, it's incredible on just an
It's
incredible level.
And here's the thing: it's usually all the one place. It's all, usually most of it's just in the house or in the
Yeah,
sets that are the house.
one of
And
my last
all
notes
of the
here.
drama and tension and everything that's interesting about the show is created through character and script and fine acting and development and story arcs. Like there's, I don't know if you've seen the show, right?
I'm
Downton
um
Abbey.
I'm on season 2 now.
Yeah, it's you can somebody I can understand almost anybody getting into that show and be like, I get it. It is so well crafted. At
Right.
first glance, it probably looks like the most boring shit you could ever see. It's true. That's what I used to think of it. Like, it used to come on PBS all the time. I'm like, why is this so popular? And then I came on Netflix. I'm like, I'm gonna start watching from season one. Got hooked. Went to see the fucking movie in theaters with like me and just like old women. It was like nobody there but me and senior citizen women. Like there were literally no men there. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not the demographic, obviously. Then I watched the second movie. I'm like, damn, the second movie's even better than the first one.
And now they have like a new series or something.
Oh, did they?
Peacock has something new.
Oh, Uptown Abbey.
Um, so the only note here that we didn't really talk about was that I wrote in my notes here was at one point towards the end when Lon decides, oh, I'm leaving or whatever, and Pike tells her, if I said no, would it make a difference? And I wrote no because you're Captain Cook and are the least leader I've ever seen, and no one listens to anything you have to say at any point. There's no chain of command on the show.
He's like that easy substitute teacher you get in school, like you got in school back in the day. We're like, oh, this guy lets us do anything.
It's like millennials took over the Enterprise and are going on space adventures. Oh,
Oh no, Braxton's gone. He had to bail because he couldn't listen to our bitching anymore. I'm joking. I don't know what happened.
right.
Coming off Picard season 2, this show is top-notch storytelling in comparison. Regardless of its problems, I'm looking forward to new episodes each week. With Picard, I was dreading them.
Yeah, I don't know. Picard made me laugh a lot. And this show makes me laugh a lot too.
I do look
Uh,
forward to Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds, I think, is a good show, dude. Like, I haven't. Well, I
I
can't
do
really
feel
say I
kind of
haven't
bad
enjoyed
ragging
any of
on it.
I don't really look forward. I honestly don't look forward to the episodes. I'm just like, oh, it's Thursday, Strange New Worlds, sure. I'm like, why not? And then by tomorrow, I don't even think about the episodes anymore.
So, who's your favorite character, Braxton? Is not probably Hammer?
No, dude, it's
No,
La'an, dude. It's
Lon.
La'an. I love La'an, dude.
Roar!
I think that that actress has did a good job portraying her, and I love like the growth that she showed in this episode. You know, that she's like seeing a shrink. You know, she's like, you know, trying to look after that girl, trying to get her back home. Dude, La'an is my number one.
And if anybody messes with that girl, she's gonna be like, "Get away from her, you bitch." Yeah, it's good that she's doing her thing, and she's definitely gonna be back. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler, but she's gonna be back. I would
Yeah.
like to see Hammer back at some point. I have a feeling they're gonna do a Mirror Universe episode, and people are gonna be like, "Well, that it interferes with canon." I'm like, really? They've just. I think somebody pointed out on Starfleet Boys thing, like they've kind of. It's not even an issue now with them. It's like they don't care. It's not that they're petty about it. They're just like, if we want to do a thing, we're not gonna worry too much about.
I mean,
Because in TOS it seems like they don't really know the Gorn.
I definitely always say if
seems
you're a
like that.
canon hound, you're not gonna like it because they really don't. They pick and choose what they want to stick with, and I don't. It doesn't bother me. I don't really care about canon because either you do it hardcore and try to do it right, or you just don't worry about it too much, and just go with your thing.
It's only a concern to the fan if it's not good. You know what I mean? If it's good, you'd be like, okay, sure. Like I didn't. I mean, in Generations when no in the TNG episode Relics, when you watch that post Generations, you're like, oh wait a minute, Generations changed canon, and it's like, who gives a fuck? It's like little things. It never really bothers me. But if you had an
I mean,
instance
the
like
original series
if
didn't
you
do
had
a good
Kirk coming
job.
on second season commanding the Enterprise and like Pike's out of commission or something, and like
Right, that's
Kirk
what I'm saying.
I'm like, okay, I'm sure that's possible. I mean, I don't know what happened in that time, but really in TOS he said he didn't meet Pike until Pike was promoted to fleet captains and he handed the Enterprise over. That was actually the first actual meeting. So the fact that the character's going to be in the show so early, I can't even think about like if that's a violation or not because I know it doesn't matter. What matters is if it gets better. If it continues to go down a mediocre kind of path, like
I mean, to me,
Discovery's kind of
if you're
like
telling
that,
a
where
good story, I don't
it
really care
gradually
about
gets
the
better.
canon and stuff.
Yeah,
But you gotta tell the good story part.
it's true.
I
You are
wouldn't.
wise,
I
my
wouldn't
friend.
care that you're ripping off Alien, Alien 2, Alien 3, and
But
possibly
do it
Alien like
well.
7. But do it. Yeah, exactly. Do it well. Everything borrows from everything else, but
And in a lot of fans' eyes, this episode did do it well. It was a good, solid, entertaining tribute.
I mean,
It's just it is what it is though for certain fans. Like we're all, I can say that the show is not as divisive as
no,
I would
definitely
have
not.
thought.
I mean, it's nowhere near as egregiously, horrendously nonsensical as Picard. And I mean, I haven't seen all of Discovery, but at least it has like the hopefulness of and likable characters, instantly likable characters. Because Ortegas is still my favorite character, just simply because they haven't ruined her with some crazy backstory or some ridiculous shit that she does that doesn't make any sense. She's just there like as some weird court jester, and it makes me laugh. But look, in Star Trek particularly, even the original series fucked its own canon like from one episode to the next. Like they would always do that shit. So it's like you can't be too
Yeah,
bent out of shape. You know, that's why I still like what Next Generation did, which Next Generation just said, okay, we're 80 years in the future. We're not going to bother any of that old shit. It can all still be there. We can pick and choose what we want to use from it. Otherwise, we're just going to do our own thing. And it did 21 straight seasons of the most beautiful Trek. Yes, I'm including Voyager because Voyager is amazing.
and Discovery I think attempted that too to get away from the restrictions of canon to kind of more so make their own canon.
Well, to
Uh,
me, the show
it
I
didn't
would
work
have
out as
done
well
is
as
Discovery season 3 and done that from the beginning. The pilot should have ended with them getting blown into the future and forget about being 10 years before Kirk or whatever it was.
it does become a different show and it becomes more interesting because it's so far in the future. I really don't mind if they go far fetched with certain tech. People complain. I that's what bugged me about the last two seasons where people were like, it's too magical, like certain things. I'm like, but isn't that the perfect excuse when you're in like the years 3000 whatever, 31 whatever? But anyway,
I mean, these writers don't want to write or attempt to write the sort of science fiction technobabble stuff that TNG era and TOS was famous for.
which is like the hardest stuff to write.
They just say fuck it, it's magic. Don't worry
They
about
just
it.
say
Just go with it.
they just say the tech, and the tech when they're having these things. Like the writers don't actually a
I
lot of the
love
times
science.
come up with the actual words. Somebody else will. I don't know if it's still that way, but somebody else will come in and like
Well, there
fill
usually
in
is
the
a
bullshit words, basically.
technobabble expert sort of guy
Yeah,
who punches up that thing,
and
and
that in itself is a really cool talent that they really need to seek out more.
But
Uh,
old pre JJ Trek was science fiction, whereas this is more science fantasy.
yeah. Pike is my favorite character simply because of the context they put him in with his upcoming debilitating accident. La'an is my favorite new character, though her backstory is quite compelling to me.
Tasha Yar,
Well, there's a lot of tragic backstory
she's
and
basically
stuff
Tasha
now.
Yar to me. Survived the planet where she
Yeah.
could potentially get raped or whatever.
And my family was
to
used
become
as egg
security
sacks.
chief,
Mm.
who's now
I mean,
leaving the show in season 1.
I don't mean to poke fun at Laon's pain. Star Wars is the only
Look at this
franchise that has
troll. Look at this
100% nearly
troll.
adherence to continuity and canon, as it were. That is debatable, but it is.
Trolly troll
You know,
troll.
but I'll give them credit. They keep it close visually, like they keep it pretty consistent. Post, you know, like and especially now with the task of melding prequel aesthetic with A New Hope or original trilogy aesthetic. I think they do a fine job in that way. They respect the look of things much more than Star Trek does, but their ability to live in a fantasy world that's not actually connected to our planet Earth, nor is it connected to a future version of us, gives them the freedom to still have 70s looking technology in 2022 shows because of the era it's set in that sci-fi fantasy world. People forget. I mean, I know there's a lot of people out there who's like, okay, Star Wars and Star Trek are both shows about our future. I'm like, actually, no.
No, Star Wars.
Star Wars
Long time
is an
ago.
ancient fantasy set in
Yeah,
another
Star Wars
galaxy completely.
yeah,
It's not even
Yeah.
in the Milky Way.
it's basically
like,
almost a fairy tale in
Yeah.
space. Basically, I mean, it's a princess, a wizard. You know, it's just
so a
science
lot of
fantasy.
anything goes, and like you can
Yeah,
play with the aesthetic as much
and
as you want.
technically, in the
And
beginning, it tells you a long time ago, so it's actually in our past.
Yeah. So if you wanted to do a prequel era show versus a sequel era show, you could still be consistent with the tech that was available at the time of filming, because it doesn't matter because it's not us. But anyway, yeah. Why did we get into Star Wars?
Because of
Another
troll-
Star Wars.
'cause of the
Another
troll.
Star Wars comment.
Because that Starfleet boy troll.
Oh, parenthesis I responds saying Star Wars is able to adhere to canon easily because everyone comes back from the dead all the time.
Well, and Star Wars only focuses on like 20 characters in this gigantic universe anyway, so it's not too hard to keep things straight.
Star Wars is the past and Star Trek is the future,
Star
baby.
Trek is the future, baby.
All right, guys.
Prosperous son.
Any final thoughts on the episode or predictions about the finale next week?
Well, you know what it's about, right? Like, you know the synopsis or whatever.
That's a part of it. I don't know if that's the whole story. That's only from the clip that they showed.
Yeah, I think it's gonna end with a tease to Kirk, and we're probably gonna get Scotty to replace Hemmer / La'an, because wasn't Scotty technically sort of security in a way too? Well, I guess he wore the red. Maybe that's what I'm just really just getting confused. Because who was there was really no security on TOS, right?
Yeah, there
no
was.
like Worf.
Oh no, yeah, there was no chief security officer that I remember.
Right, I feel like Scotty, it was kind of his duty in a way, but whatever. I think they're gonna bring in Scotty, and towards the end of the episode, to tease Kirk in season 2, and the TOS reboot continues. The slow reboot continues.
I think we could see Scotty next week. But yeah, unlike you two dudes, I liked this episode. You know, I thought this was another strong episode. It might actually be my favorite of the season.
That's great because it's a show where it's like there's no. I find with other shows where it can be divisive. A lot of people can't understand the other point of view. They're like, "Well, how could you like this?" or "How could you hate this?" But I find Strange New Worlds is like it's enough of a mixed bag where at some point we could all kind of like an episode, or one of us cannot like it and two of us can, or one of us two. You know what I mean? It's like that speaks to a way in the kind of inconsistency I find the show. But I find a lot of people, more so than any other modern Trek show on Twitter and stuff, I find it's like consistently pleasing people. Like 9 episodes, some people like 9 for 9. I think Arthur said that. This guy on Twitter said it's 9 for 9. Every episode he says like another good one. It hasn't failed me yet. So I think the show is successful in that way, that it has a broader appeal. I don't necessarily think Trek should go down the we need to please everybody route. I think it's cool as a niche kind of cerebral project, but they're afraid of that. They're afraid of being too complicated, maybe. So they tend to fall, but even Lower Decks, which is a great show, kind of leans on references and previous knowledge of Trek too much. Even to the point where, like, I don't feel like enough of a nerd that I'm not getting half of it. Oh, they referenced this thing from that episode. I didn't even catch that. But it's like a million references, and those are the weaker episodes of that show too, I find. The best Trek is stuff that doesn't have to be wholly original, but something different from the things we've seen like 100 times. And I say that when season 2 is going to have Klingons apparently in it, and I don't mind that at all, as long as they're handled correctly. I'm gonna get to some Starfleet Boys questions, and we're gonna sign off. We could have had Hemmer for a few more seasons. I agree.
A few more minutes. Like, dude, how much total screen time does that guy even have in 9 episodes?
Are we being fooled? The Strange
Like
New Worlds
3
turns
minutes?
into TOS 2 what is that? 2/3. What is that?
Season 2.
2 1/3.
2/3 of a season.
2/3. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what they're doing.
I couldn't read math for a second. Quick question: are all Anar twins? I don't know.
I think by the end of season 2, this will basically be a TOS reboot.
Hemmer's twin comes in. There you go. Hemmer has a twin.
Nah, man, they're
He's like-
saving money on the makeup, buddy. There ain't no Hammer twin. They're like, we need to cut costs on this show. Bye-bye, Hammer.
Producers are afraid of the show being openly nerdy.
Well,
I
it's
find
not- it's
Discovery
not that they're
it's-
afraid.
it's-
They're not capable of making the nerdy show.
But I think
Star Trek
Discovery.
should be.
I think some episodes of Discovery do a great job of being kind of like super nerdy. Sometimes with like the Stamets technical jargon, which I can't make heads or tails of, but it's Geordie level stuff. I mean, some of it's good. It's just maybe the overall stories in the seasons aren't great. So that's all I have to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that.
Thank you, Braxton, and thank you, Martian. Our Martian.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
PJ. See you,
Fun
Ruben.
time.
Hopefully you guys will go through this torture one more time. No, it's not torture.
I never tell anybody to not enjoy whatever they like to enjoy. Everybody watches bad stuff.
Hope they stick the landing in the
Including
finale.
me.
It's going to be good. It's going to be the
They're
one
gonna
that's
do it.
I've
Makes
seen the
Ruben
new
go.
Saved by the Bell on Peacock twice already. That's right. I've watched the entire thing twice.
You
I'm not
watch
ashamed
what?
of it. The new Saved by the Bell on Peacock.
Oh God!
I'm a
When
Saved
I
by the
wake
Bell
up in the
fanatic.
morning and I can't remember
When
the
I
song.
wake up in the morning, my dog gets out of.
I remember when the college years came out. One of my aunts was babysitting me, and like all the girls were like, "Put it on, it's gonna start!" And like Saved by the Bell, the college years, and like they were like,
So bad.
like freaking out the whole time. I'm like, this is not as good as the other show that was. This is gonna fail. This is not gonna be on for, and it failed. It's like when I watch Baywatch Nights, I'm like, this is not gonna work. Back in the day, I'm like, this is stupid. Like ghosts and shit. What like?
Yeah, supernatural.
They even had ghosts in the actual Baywatch show. There was a whole ghost thing in a hotel. And I'm like, oh fuck me. I only watched it for because I was an adolescent and it was Baywatch. All right.
There was,
Until next time, folks.
a lot of incentive there.
Bug out.
Live long and prosper.